Hi guys, my name's Corey, and this is the AuDHD movement. This is my dog Bast, and this is where I live, in Colorado. A few years ago, at the age of 40, I experienced some numbness in my left hand, and within a couple of weeks it had spread into my entire body. After a fall down the stairs and barely being able to walk, the doctors found that the spinal cord in my cervical spine was being completely cut off by the vertebrae and the discs. A few titanium pieces later, and I came out of the OR feeling much better. However, I soon found that all of my adaptations that I'd been building up over a lifetime of being autistic were suddenly ineffective. And to further complicate things, I hadn't told anyone in my entire life that I was autistic. I self-assessed as a teenager, and we'll make a video about that. There's a lot more to that story, but I spent the next 30 years figuring out how to hide what made me different, how to mask, how to fit in. But suddenly, I found myself unable to do that and having to come clean to everyone I knew. To tell my mother that I'm autistic, to tell my wife, my kids, and to dive into therapy and to figuring out myself intentionally for the first time in my life. Through this process, I've now been professionally diagnosed with autism, and surprise, I was also diagnosed with ADHD, which brings a lot of clarity. On this channel, I want to talk about how I use movement throughout my day in order to relieve the pressure on my mind and also the tension on my body. I'll also get into some of the challenges that I face every day and how some of them have gotten significantly more difficult since my neck surgery. I'll spend a lot of time with my 4 dogs, including Bast, who's my best friend. And we always do what we can to find the time to put play into our daily movements. For example. Hey guys. All right, done with another work session. So me and the dogs are ready for a break. So we're gonna show you how we do that. She's vicious. Only in the past few months have I moved all of this stuff into my living room and made it more accessible, and it's made all the difference in my day. Being able to run around with the dogs at a moment's notice, or do a couple pull-ups, or hang from the bar, or do some dips, or anything that normally I would have had to run out to my gym, or that many people have to drive to a gym to do, having them close by makes all the difference. I think that most of us can benefit greatly from adding play back into our lives. I think that as we grow older, we start to think that everything has to be serious or productive or efficient, and we don't make time to play, to let our minds do something that is solely for the point of making us feel better or allowing us to have fun.
And that is how properly use a living room for a living.
one unexpected benefit of going through this autism rediscovery after all of these years is seeing the number of creators and the number of people who are sharing their story and their positive message. For example, this stretch idea here, laying down and putting my feet up the wall, this came from Trevor Carroll, who's an autistic creator who shared that when he does that, it helps him to relieve stress. And I've incorporated that over the past several weeks with some stretching, and it really helps. Knowing how much other people's stories have helped me, even over just the past year, I decided it's probably time that I get on here and share mine. I am 43 years old. I have known about my autism for 30 years, but I never told anybody until the past year. In all those years, I earned 3 degrees, a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, and married with kids.
Movement doesn't just have to be physical. Sometimes getting out of your space, your cave, whatever it may be, just getting out of the house can make a huge difference. So right now I'm on my way to pick up my kids from school, and yes, many people with autism can drive vehicles, for those of you who were not aware. I'm super blessed to be living here in Colorado, and I get to see this whenever I go drive. So driving is one of the things that sets off some of my sensory issues, especially when there's a lot of it. Let me take you back about a month. My kids were both in the middle of just a very busy time. My son does robotics competitions with his school, and my other son does theater. And theater practices were every single night for the last couple of weeks before the show. And so every single day, and I'm about half an hour, 20 minutes to 30 minutes from their school, because we live out here in these beautiful mountains of Colorado. So I got to drive them every day that week, 4 times, half an hour back and forth. And for me, since my neck issues a couple of years ago, since that surgery, the vibrations of driving have just been intense. It's one of those things that was totally reset by the surgery when they, uncrushed my spinal cord. The vibrations from driving just instantly were an entirely different thing than I'd ever felt before. And they're cumulative. So like a lot of this sensory stuff, just like fluorescent lights, for example, or loud noises, it adds up. And it sometimes adds up in a very quiet way. So many people who are on the spectrum, they'll realize that fluorescent lights they add up throughout the day, and so they wear sunglasses. I wear sunglasses whenever I'm in the grocery store. I wear sunglasses generally whenever I'm out driving. I wear them a lot more than I used to, because I realize now that it's a cumulative effect. It might not give me a headache to go into the grocery store, but later on today, it's going to start to add up. That's the same with me for driving. The vibrations of the road add up. The sensory input, there's a lot going on and a lot to process. It also adds up. That's one of the reasons I live out here in the mountains, and I prefer the rural countryside to the city any day, because especially when driving, there's just so much to process, and it can really put a damper on the rest of your day. It can really affect everything that's to follow. And if you're not paying close attention to that, and you don't start to notice these patterns, it's easy to miss what's causing the problem. It's easy to think it's this when it's actually this thing that happened 3 hours ago. And then you add in delayed processing, and that just compounds all of that, because it just makes it harder to assess and adjust. So these little trips, these short trips, not the days where I'm driving all day long. I am not a fan of that, but these short trips can actually be like a relief valve. And the way that they work for me in a helpful way is, like I said, I get to get out in nature, but also I'm not usually just driving in silence. I'll usually be playing a very short list of songs. I have a lot of save songs, and they're not the save songs over and over and over and over, but they are the save songs for several weeks in a row before something new squeezes their way in. So It's definitely enough to irritate my family. But I will put one of these songs on and I will rock and I will stim and I will just drive, and it makes the time go by and it is not nearly as problematic. As you've seen, if you've been paying attention with this video, I don't generally stop moving. I don't sit down most days in a chair unless it's dinner time, because even when my desk, even with my desk, I'm usually standing. And then I'll go out into my living room and crawl around and roll around and do all the things with the boxes and just have some fun and move around. Or I'll go out to the gym and move some more. But I'm not a sit still type of person, and that includes the truck. So the vehicle, when I'm driving, I don't sit still very much either. And if I do, that makes it much worse. Just as another story, I was driving my sister-in-law to the airport very early in the morning, several months ago, and that drive, because I wasn't comfortable putting on my music and just singing and stimming and rocking back and forth, that drive became very unpleasant on the way back. After I dropped her off, it was just quite physically unpleasant, and I was very, very happy to be home after that. But that's why you have to pay attention to what works, and that's why you have to move. When your body tells you to move, you got to move. And I know not everybody has this imperative to move as much as I do. I realize that, but I do feel that a lot of people have maybe trained themselves to ignore their need to move. Maybe they were taught that from childhood trauma, and the more they moved, the more they stemmed, the more problems they had from other people and from bullying and from all of the things. But whatever it may be, we all need to move. We all need to move. There is a significant correlation between mental health issues, depression, all of that stuff is made worse by not moving, by not having physical exercise or physical movement. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go join CrossFit and just, put it all out there every single day. Most of the time, I'm just having fun when I'm moving. I'm playing around. Yeah, I like to do some work in the gym here and there, but not even the majority of the time. Most of the time, I would much rather be crawling with my dogs and jumping around and going on hikes and doing other things, and that is plenty. There is no rule that says if you're not in the gym, it doesn't count. So get out there today, move around, step outside of your house if you can, see some sunshine, touch grass, and just enjoy your day.
All right, guys. Now I want to take you and introduce you to the pit shark. This is my baby. This is a belt squat machine. You can see the big lever there. You can clip the belt in there into any of those holes and it changes the lever arm. You could use it for dips and for pull-ups. This is my favorite machine just because it feels like I was supposed to have it, because this machine allows me to continue to do squats even after my neck injury, and I avoid really heavy spinal axial loading. All right, guys, so you got this belt and it's pretty simple. You step into the belt, bring it up around your hips, and you belt in there. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. All right. So you got your belt, you got your hook. You can adjust the length to however you want it. I've got it a fairly limited range of motion now. You'll come up, you got this safety catch bar. So I just released that. And then you're just gonna squat straight down. You can use these to brace yourself, to pull yourself back up. I usually just kind of keep a little bit of tension on there just for balance. But you come all the way down and then up. So you can see, you can go into any of these levers locations. The further out, the easier it is, just because you get a little bit more of the benefit of the lever. Closer in, it gets tougher. So you could keep the weight the same and just move in a space every time if you wanted. But obviously you can do the dips, you can do pull-ups, you can add weight to those as well. Another thing for this machine, you could always do like a straight bar. I use it for deadlifts, RDLs. But for today, all we're gonna do is a couple more sets of squats, just to keep our body right. We'll come in a little closer. All right, guys. Well, that's my day. I wake up, I move around, I stretch, I play with my dogs throughout the day. I'll do a little bit of exercise throughout the day. At the end of the day, I usually do something out here a little bit more intense, but none of it is more than 10 to 15 minutes at a time. Most of it is less than 5 minutes at a time, but it adds up. And this is something that's new. This is up until my neck injury, which is nearly 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. Up until that point, it was very much like a gym bro split kind of thing, like a 3-day split, pretty standard for me. And that was inconsistent because I didn't enjoy it that much. I enjoyed working out, but there were days where it was super easy to skip because I didn't have as much fun as I'm having now. Embrace the idea that working out and fitness and healthy movement, that does not have to happen in the gym. Whether you have at-home gym like I'm lucky enough to have, or you've just got the great outdoors, or maybe just some space on the floor in your living room or your bedroom, do some movement today. Do something, a little bit more than you did before. Just get the blood flowing. I promise you, you will not regret it. You will be grateful that you got your body moving, and it will bring some of those good chemicals into your bloodstream that help to relieve the stress and the tension. And a lot of that tension we place on ourselves by sitting still all day long. So put your body to work for you. Get out, see the sunshine, touch some grass, and enjoy your day.